All right, everybody, thanks for watching the video. So we're looking at a 2004 Toyota 4Runner with a V8. And basically I bought this thing bone stock, and so I decided to do some stuff to it and do basically a budget build to see, where I could find some parts cheap and everything and get some stuff for free. Kind of like those wheels right there. I didn't pay anything for those. And I'll tell you about that here in just a minute or two. But so basically I'm running 33s on a 3.5-inch lift. And to get that lift, I ended up doing the Bilstein shocks, and I have some E-box springs in the front. And if you take a look at the spacers that I have on top, I don't recommend doing spacers any more than what I have according to all the research I've done, but I have a 1/2-inch spacer there, and then also a 1/4-inch spacer on top of that one, and that's to help with the Toyota lean. And I also have an additional spacer on the back rear spring as well, so that kind of makes this thing sit pretty much flush. If I was to go around and measure this thing, I'm literally within 1/8 of an inch all the way around. It ended up just kind of coming out perfect the way this thing sits, which was surprising. But in order to get wheels and tires like that for free, you just got to look for takeoffs like on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. That's how you kind of get those deals. So I bought those wheels and tires for $400. They came with the stock Bridgestones. I sold the Bridgestones for $450. Just some guy wanted them, and the way they went. So it was positive $50. So that was actually a great deal. So that kind of helped with, kind of the budget build part of this. That rear tire there, I bought that thing for $20. It was a used spare that somebody wanted. It's almost like brand new, and it's a full-size spare that I ended up shoving under there. And I'll show you a video on how I did that. I'll put a link up there, and you guys can check on that, because it does take a little bit of work to get it in there, but once you do it, you kind of figure it out. So I'll put a link there. Another thing too is that this 33-inch setup is probably the easiest and most universal, kind of utilitarian setup you can get. It doesn't take much trimming like you see there. You have to push that inner liner in a little bit, but in order to make this kit work, it's the simplest, it's the easiest. It doesn't take much. The lift does most of the work for you. So the hard part is really just getting the spare in, putting the inner liner kind of up and out of the way a little bit, and taking a razor blade and trimming off some of that white bumper there on the front. You can see here underneath where I kind of modified this little, it's kind of like an air dam or something. I think it helps kind of disrupt the air as it hits the tire to maybe get rid of road noise. But anyway, I kind of moved that around as well, took the bolt out, pushed it in, made a new hole, and put the bolt back in, and that kind of helped shove that thing forward and out of the way. And that kind of gives you a little bit of look of my CV angles there. I don't have a diff drop. It's kind of a debate on whether you need it or not. Some people are like, yes, some people are like, no, and other people are like, doesn't make a difference. So other than that, I decided not to run it. But as this thing sits, it's very capable of going a lot of places. There are a couple things I would like to get, which I'm going to be getting soon. Is I'm going to get some rock sliders. For now, I decided to keep the runners because I'll run them until I break them. But you can see how even just this 33-inch tire, it stuffs up in there really nice. I can still utilize the mud flaps to help keep stuff from flinging all over the place, which I even have a video to kind of show you how to keep those, because the 33s do get in the way. As you can see there, it just kisses it just a little bit. But you can still utilize them and keep them, and that's free. And that's kind of the whole budget build thing, is spending the least amount of money to get the most out of what you can do with this thing. So we'll just kind of take a look here as we're kind of looking at the vehicle just in general. If I was going to do a couple things differently, I would have just gone straight to the 33s, because I did have 31s at one point, and which that was a really nice ride and everything, but it just doesn't give you enough lift and stuff to make it go places like you would really want to. And the 33s really help get you to that next level. But it still maintains the drivability of it. The gas mileage is still going to be not good whatsoever, so don't worry about that. It'll never be better than what it is. So just do your basic tune-ups and your basic maintenance, and that's just what you get. But if you look at the back here, another thing I did was I got some FJ Cruiser springs brand new from O'Reilly's, and that was only $60 for that. And I ended up putting some spacers on top of that as well. And that ended up giving me not only the additional lift with the springs, but the 25mm spacer also gave me another almost inch right there. So that really helped the back come up a lot. you kind of look here how it kind of flexes. The thing does a great job at just kind of, you know, flexing and kind of going with the terrain all by itself. The thing I would like to add in the back is a long travel kit, and I do plan on doing that, probably the Dobinson's. It's kind of the main one that seems to be really good for the price, so probably going to go that way here in just a couple months, or at some point when I get around to it. Just busy doing a lot of other things. So a couple other things I want to tell you too is that when you are looking at some of the things to buy, patience is obviously going to be your biggest thing. If you're patient in building this stuff, you can buy, like, I got the left rear shock for $20, and so then I only had to buy one right rear shock for full price. I ended up buying the front shocks and springs together as a set from somebody who bought them, built his rig, but it's not the way he wanted to go, and he only had them on there a month. So then I decided, well, you know what? I'll take them from you. I got them for $200 shipped. So anyway, you can see how I had the rig. I bought it stock just like it was there in that picture. And then you can see here I put the 33s on it, and that allows me to also do things like tow my boat and stuff too. I don't have to re-gear or anything. The V8 helps, but if I had 35s on there, it would just, there's a lot of other complications, body mount chops, body lift, and everything else. So if you take a look at the tires I'm running, they're 50 pounds. The stock tires only weigh 42 pounds, but look what happens when you add a 35-inch tire. They're 75 pounds each. And I'll let you do the math there, because times 4, that's a lot of additional weight. Not just weight in general, but rotational weight and torque that it takes to move that. So you're putting a lot of extra strain on your driveline, CV joints, and the rest of it all the way back. You take a look at my control arms here, just have the Freedom uppers. Those are great for a budget build. They provide or allow up to 4 inches of lift. And I ended up using Toy Tech spacers on both sides. And I have a generic kind of 1/4 inch spacer, and it's just anodized aluminum to help with that Toyota lean on the left side. And just basically running 5100 Bilstein shocks. And I have the springs all the way down, because if you look at spring theory and everything like that, you want to be able to run those springs at their full length and not compress them with the clips if you can. That's kind of the cheating way of getting the lift. It works, but you lose your ride like that. So if you can run them full length, go that way. And again, you're looking at the FJ Cruiser springs. They give you 1 inch of lift automatically, and then a 25 millimeter spacer and another 10 millimeter spacer, which I ended up getting that for like $12 on eBay. Somebody was just getting rid of it. I think it's normally $30, along with those Iron Man ones. Those ones are 25 millimeters, and I think it's, I was going to say about $40 or $50 for that set. But anyway, hope you guys kind of like to run through this quick budget build. Subscribe, that way you don't miss any more of my other videos.